Ridley Scott's Alien has been out since 1979. By now you should know who the cast and crew are, as well as all the trivia associated with this masterpiece that spawned many sequels, including the newest blockbuster, Alien Romulus. But what you probably don't know is what the critics say about this film. On Rotten Tomatoes, you'll find that the critics gave Alien 93%, and the audience gave it 94%. But of course, Alien deserves 100% from both schools. That means 7% of the critics that reviewed this movie didn't like it, so let's pop their chests with roasts and insults. But first, one fact we couldn't resist capitalising on. You see those tendons in the alien's jaws? Those are shredded condoms. Perhaps if they weren't shredded, we wouldn't have gotten any sequels. But let's get to it, shall we? The critics reviewed Alien. Now it's time for us to review the critics. Vincent Canny from New York Times says, "These things no longer surprise or tantalise us, as they once did." To be fair, this critic wrote his review in 1979 when the film came out. He spends some time comparing Alien to 2000's one, A Space Odyssey, but he also complains that Alien copies shots from previous science fiction films, like the obligatory shot of that huge space vehicle early on in every film. It appears from over our right shoulder, passes over our head, and then proceeds slowly and majestically toward the far distance at screen left. What's that old saying? Mockery is the sincerest form of lovemaking. This critic would probably lose his skin if he saw how Deadpool and Wolverine's fight completely mimic Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker versus The Flash. Dave Kerr from Chicago Reader says that Alien is an empty-headed horror movie with nothing to recommend it beyond the disco-inspired art direction. Let's dissect this review face-hugger style, shall we? First, you'll notice that this review was written in 2011. And in fact, we'll even go through his whole review. Yeah, that's his entire write-up on Alien. And the last couple of lines are cast credits. Again, he says, Alien is an empty-headed horror movie with nothing to recommend it. Let's stop there. Nothing to recommend it. This film is creepy, it's unique, especially for its time. It's groundbreaking with the practical effects and puppetry. And what I love about it most is that it's realistic. There's very few Hollywood moments where someone spouts out a 3-minute soliloquy with swelling music and close-ups of people's tears of inspiration.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
No, Alien feels very real, like we're just watching normal people exist on a spaceship through a nanny cam. He continues, beyond the disco-inspired art direction, this elderly twit obviously lived through the mess that was American disco, so he should appreciate that aesthetic. Besides the point, there's nothing remotely disco about Alien. No one's flash dancing or booty popping their way through space. And let's not forget, there's a thing called context. Ridley Scott was trapped in the disco age, just like our characters were trapped in space.
If I have to listen to any more god-awful disco music.
Maybe it was a metaphor for disco will absolutely murk you. Then he has the audacity to complain about the rubbery monster running amok. Well, I think most of us would prefer this rubber monster to the cartoon monsters we get slapped with today. Stop promoting CGI creatures. For the most part, he concludes, things simply jump out and go, boo. I mean, what the bloody hell do you expect from a horror film? Pick a side, you cockwomble. Is Alien a disco party? Or a visit to Six Flags Fright Fest? Don't complain about fright scares in a horror film if you're not going to bitch about there being jokes in Groundhog Day. Frank Rich from Time magazine says, it is depressing to watch an expensive, crafty movie that never soars beyond its cold desire to score the big bucks. Well, it succeeded because Alien is the mother of 2 prequels, 4 sequels, and 2 spin-offs. Unlike Jaws, Frank continues, Alien does not use stylistic cunning to excite the audience. It just shovels on the mayhem. Oh, you mean like today's cheap-ass blockbusters that relies on cartoons and computer software to tantalise dumb audiences like you with digital magic tricks? Do the practical effects scare you, Frank? The Muppet dunt like the puppet, eh? Or are you jealous of the brilliant artistry and craftsmanship that miraculously took place to make this film happen? If that's the case, stay far away from Kermit and his friends. Note to Hollywood, don't listen to sods like this guy. Go back to using practical effects. David Sterritt, not to be confused with Tom Skerritt, from Christian Science Monitor says, in space, no one can hear you ask for your money back. Guess what, David? For as huge and vast space is, I can absolutely promise you that no one is out there asking for your opinion. Go back to watching Fantasia 2000. Thomas Goldthwait from Arizona Republic says that Alien is reckoned by 20th Century Fox to be the summer's answer to Star Wars, but the chills grow tiring after a while. On the contrary, Alien is a study of building tension and raising the stakes. Apparently this guy is a Hyperdyne Systems 120A2 android out to spew false information and lies for its own gain. Michael Blowen from Boston Globe certainly is blowing someone over at Warner Brothers, one of Fox's competitors. He says Alien is a horror movie set in space, and it just doesn't work. Are you going to tell me that Gravity is scarier? Or Rocket Man? Actually, it's scary how this movie doesn't hold up as well as it used to.
And now the Chinese! Come on, all you Chinese!
I defy anyone to find a space movie scarier than any in the Alien franchise. Michael is clearly suffering from space dementia.
He's got space dementia.
Tom Hearn from Washington Blade says, the viewer remains near the edge of his seat, but is never in danger of falling off. Well, hun, if you don't know how to sit in a chair properly, that sounds like a personal problem. I assure you that even in the scariest movies, Hoon, no one is in actual danger of falling off of their chairs. Joseph Gelmis from Newsday says, Alien is a symptom of something sick in the buyer, the audience, as well as something unconscionable in the seller. Says the guy who liked The Exorcist. Not that there's anything wrong with The Exorcist, but my God, that movie is much more perverse and unconscionable than any Alien movie ever has been. Lawrence, the tool for Maclean's magazine, says that Alien is expensive, silly, schlock, and that it's motived by nothing other than money. I've had it to halfway through my arsehole with critics who keep complaining that all Alien exists for is to make money. That's true of virtually every movie, product, restaurant, and book ever made. What wasn't made with money in mind? The difference between Alien and the sagging cow teats of milked franchises today is that Alien set out to actually scare and thrill its audiences, and it does just that for more than just one film. Stanley Kaufman from The New Republic says that a 3-minute set of clips from the movie would make a good spine tingler. I'm sorry, old man, did your attention span shorten because of old age, or from watching too many high school cheerleaders twerking on TikTok? Our friend Happy Hogan, whom we met in our Iron Man review, The Critics.
So no, Happy Hogan, there were no motions to go through.
Says that Alien is terrifying, but not in a way that is remotely enjoyable. Is that because the movie doesn't try to make you laugh, Happy? Generally, terrifying things don't bring smiles to people's faces.
My God.
But if you want to keep mining Alien for jokes, then be my guest. Maybe a few rewatches will help you to appreciate this masterpiece for what it is. And now it's time for the most honest review. And folks, I hate to do it, I really do, but at just 11 episodes in, we now have a 2-time winner of this honour. And that goes to YouTube's very own Chris Stuckman, who many no longer align with, sums Alien up perfectly. He says, I adore this movie. It's a movie that has engaging characters, an incredible creature, and it's incredibly scary. It's one of Ridley Scott's best films.
Next week, we'll be reviewing the critics who reviewed Tim Burton's Beetlejuice in anticipation of the sequel, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. In space, no one can hear you scream, but here on Earth, all your friends will see this video if you share it with them. As a new channel, we just started a Patreon. The link is in the description below. Otherwise, share this with a friend and subscribe for more content.